Trying to listen in for the last hour. We apologize. We've had some fun challenges with the weather, cutting out our feed and satellite input and output.
You could blame it on the weather if you wanted to.
We also had a
can you hear me there?
missing. I don't know. Let's try you again.
Okay, let me switch this other mic. See. How about that? Is it? Oh, there we go. That's better, I think. Anyway.
All right.
Yeah, we could blame it on the weather, but we could blame it on someone else as well, which we won't mention.
Well, no pointing any fingers because this is radio and no one can see anything, so
that's
fingers
right.
don't matter.
Can point fingers.
All right. Well, we've got a special guest who's actually on his way, caught in the snow right now. He'll be coming in a little while, so stay tuned. We're gonna have Kris in here. He's such a stud. He's a world record holder for hand cycling, longest distance ride. He's a quadriplegic. He's got an amazing story, and how it relates to prepping is that it's all about the mindset.
So we're talking about survival today, right?
Survival. So he went through a harrowing car accident, followed that up with tons of physical therapy, almost dying quite a few times. I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, he's just an incredible individual. So we're excited to have him here today. We're excited to have you guys listening in. If you're tuning in online, ktalk.com. If you want to check us out on Facebook, it's pretty easy to find us, just KTalk Media. And then you can find us on Twitter at KTKK So join in the conversation. Let's have some fun today. If you have any comments or you want to call in and chat with us, the number is 801-254-5855.
Now, PrepperCon is what, we're only 80-something days away now? 87?
Oh my gosh. I try not to pay attention to the countdown timer on our website. Yeah, if you go to preppercon.com, you can see our countdown. We're actually in the midst, we need volunteers. We need good people that want to come have fun, can donate 6 hours of time to help us take care of the classes or take care of the doors, ticket sales, help on the stage, just be a runner for the team. 6 hours gets you a t-shirt, a 2-day pass, and our gratitude, of course. You also get snacks in the break room.
Scott gives the best hugs.
And thank you. And you get a free ride on the hurricane simulator.
Oh, cool.
So that'll be fun. So that's coming up April 15th and 16th. If you don't have your tickets, hop online, preppercon.com, get your tickets. If you have a business and you think it's awesome and it relates to prepping, PrepperCon is like an outdoor expo meets preparedness expo meets a Comic-Con.
With a few crazies scattered about a little bit.
A little bit of crazies, a lot of common sense, really fun. I mean, we've got the coolest things. So we've got the hurricane simulator. We've got stars from reality TV shows like Michael Hawk.
I've been meaning to ask you, okay, who do we have coming this year?
So Michael Hawk and Ruth England, they're off of...
Again, they were here last year.
Michael was here last year. Ruth
wasn't, okay, yeah.
So we got Ruth, the beautiful and talented Ruth England. She was on Dual Survivors, or not Dual Survivors, what a horrible show.
I tend to agree with you on that.
So she was on...
Man, Woman, Wild?
Man, Woman, Wild. So they're just awesome people. So they've done a few different shows. Lost Survivors is another one. So she'll be out. We've also got Ms. America, Julie Harmon. She's going to be there. Her whole platform's preparedness. We have David Holliday's coming back, and he's
awesome.
A survival expert, works a lot with Hollywood, but he actually lives 100% off-grid.
Yeah, he was amazing to listen to. He was spectacular on stage and in the group discussion with Michael. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. And then to add things a little different, we've actually got some other reality stars coming.
Yeah.
Kyle Bell and his son off of Mountain Men.
Oh, okay.
Off History Channel. Awesome show.
Cool. Very cool.
This guy is a tracker. He can track just about anything. Every time I've talked to him, every time I've seen him do anything, he can do anything and everything. Building shelters.
But Mountain Men is based in Alaska, correct?
No. So they've got New Mexico, they've got the Appalachian Mountains, they've got Montana, and then they've got Alaska, and I think they've got one other location that these guys film from. But they've got all these different guys that are just living off the land, showing you what the lifestyle is like. So we're excited to have him. He's going to be a lot of fun. He'll be doing a keynote, and just as much fun as we can possibly have with these guys. So with that, we also have some training simulation set up. So we've got, they call it a kill box, we call it a training house. And when I say they, the FBI, CIA, they call it a kill box. Basically, it's a training box you walk through. We've got some former Green Berets and their weapons trainers. Ready Man's going to be taking care of this for us. They'll be doing a home sweeping seminar and training, so you can actually walk through with a
It's like the inside of a house, interior of a house, and
it'll be all decked out like a house, so you have to walk around corners, understand how to come around a corner with a loaded weapon, understand how to acquire your target, and make sure you're not shooting through the walls into your kids' room, right?
Right.
Understanding safety protocols. So that's going to be there. We'll have classes on self-defense. We've got classes on, active shooters. But then the classes that I'm really most excited about is aquaponics.
Oh, you have classes this year.
Yeah, hydroponics. If you don't know what those are, hop on Google. Awesome. Basically, symbiotic life supporting systems where you've got, like my favorite is the hydroponics the aquaponics. You've got your plants, your fish, your water. Your nutrients are basically your fish slough off or their poop,
waste and so
their
forth,
waste.
yeah.
Fertilizes your food, right? Your vegetables. You grow your vegetables, and the waste off the vegetables.
Its own little growth cycle.
Its growth cycles. The waste off that feeds the fish. So you've created a circle. You've created your own little sphere
generating
of life. Circle of life.
Yeah.
Kumbaya.
Inbox.
Super easy. You can actually produce 4 times the amount of vegetation in a year out of that space than you can in a regular garden. So it's really cool.
And you can do it indoors.
You can do it indoors if you have the right lights. So very awesome technologies, and anyone can do this stuff. We've got other classes on canning and cooking and how to prepare food. But we've got first aid classes. We've got a suturing class. So
what
if
about
you're
all the emergency food supply cooking classes and
so we'll have cooking classes and cooking contests, emergency food cook-off, and then we'll have a taste test challenge. And my phone's going off in the background. Let me turn that off. Actually, you want to take that? That's our guest. We're going to let Shane hop off and take our guest. But we've got so many cool things. So if you're an advanced prepper, come because you're going to learn something new. If you have no idea what you're doing in the world of preparedness, come because we have classes like what is a 72-hour kit used for, or a bug out bag. How do I get better prepared for what's going on in life? Those are all things that most people who are just starting out are trying to figure out. What is good for home food storage and what's bad, or what kind of temperatures do I need to store things in for survival? How do I build basic shelters, or how do I quarantine? Those are all going to be classes there as well. So whether you're an advanced, I can do everything myself, I know this, type prepper or emergency preparedness individual, or maybe you're brand new at this, we're going to have everything you need to get you taken care of. So come on down. It's going to be fun. April 15th and 16th, Southtown Expo Center, and it's just going to be bigger. We've got about 220 different vendors coming out. So you'll be able to see all the cool products, all the latest and greatest. Stun guns, handguns, flashlights, emergency backups, power systems, solar systems, wind energy, extreme cold weather gear, tents, tiny homes. It's just, we'll even have a bunker there. So come on down. It'll be a lot of fun. You can buy tickets online at preppercon.com.
Okay, so Kris just pulled up and had to give him a little direction, but he is on his way in. Sorry to leave you alone there, Scott.
All right, we're having some mic issues for Shane today, so we're going to try to get this fixed.
How's that sound? You can hear me there. That was good. Let's check this out. Check. Can you hear them? No, that's all right. I'll just get a little bit closer.
All right, so we're back in action. Yeah, we're getting a couple messages on I guess Twitter. You're quiet.
We're a little quiet. Okay.
So we're loud now.
Should we turn this up then, Scott, maybe?
Well, welcome. I just did.
Okay. Cool.
All right, we're here. So if you're listening in, the last hour was total kibosh. This hour, we're fixing things.
Okay, no, we're good this hour. We actually have people in studio rather than letting the machines control the programming and what you hear.
Yes, this is not Terminator. We're good to go. Okay, so while we're waiting for Kris, he'll come in with us after the next break. It is that time of year. It's that horrible, horrible time of year.
The where you get depression from the weather. What's that called?
Tax season.
Oh, taxi. Okay, that too.
So yesterday kicked off tax season. You can start turning in your taxes. It's It sucks. It really does.
So what does tax season have to do with prepping? Well, no, I just take that back. I just made the connection in my brain there.
Well, I look at it this way. Preppers, we want to get as much as we can out of our income, right? A lot of the things that you can do with preparedness, there are tax deductions for those types of things, and tax write-offs. So talk to your
Good
accountant.
point. Yeah, good
The other cool thing is, if you've overpaid, you're going to get a refund. And I'm going to urge you to do this and tell all of your family to do the same. Do not take that refund and go on a fancy vacation.
Amen.
Do not take that refund and go buy a brand new car, unless you absolutely need a new car.
Yeah.
But get something sensible. Try to save some of that refund and put it towards emergency preparedness. Did you know that less than 50% of America has a 3-day,
Yep.
1,
3
2,
days.
3-day supply of food?
Yep.
Why? Because they're living paycheck to paycheck. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, take that refund and apply it to simplify your life. Get a little bit of money, set it aside, keep some cash on hand, get some silver or gold on hand. I prefer silver. I know Shane does as well.
Yep, silver. We can take a whole episode to talk about silver, but also take the advantage of pay off some debts.
Absolutely. Get out of debt. If you've got a revolving credit card and
Cut it
you're
up,
thinking
throw it
of
away.
doing anything else, you are absolutely in bondage to debt. We all are. This is a debt-ridden society. And the more debt you have, the more in bondage you are.
It is a plague. It is the plague of this century. So get out of it.
I've heard, and I don't know how accurate this number is, maybe I can try to do a search on this for later, but I've heard that the average American is $4,700 in credit card debt.
I think we're in the commercial.
Not yet.
No.
We got another minute.
Okay.
Either that or it's just not rolling in. Yeah, if you're in credit card debt, that's the worst. I mean, because sometimes your interest rates are like 23, 24%,
True slavery.
18%. I mean,
True bond.
that runs your credit cycle, but it runs your life. I mean, you're always thinking about how am I going to pay that off? Oh man, my next payment's due. If you're young and you're thinking about getting a credit card, that's fine. Think about it. Get one because it's great for your credit. It helps build your credit. Don't use it. Use it like once, pay that off, and just let it sit there. Learn to live
Within your
just
means.
within your means. Save some every month. Save 10%. I mean, there's so many financial gurus out there. I don't even want to go off on a tangent. But make sure you are taking that money if you get a refund and applying it to something practical. Apply it to preparedness. Apply it to paying off debt. Better quality of life. We prep because when you're prepared, you have less fear, right? It eliminates fear. For me, every time I go into debt, I'm just like panicky. There's a little bit inside of me that's panicky. I'm closing on another house this next week. We sold our last house. We're rolling money into the next house. And I'm panicking. I'm like, why am I buying a house?
You need a house, but
Exactly. It's within my means. It gives me a place to rest my weary head. But it's not,
you grow your crops.
and grow my crops and raise my animals. Do all the little things I gotta do. But the most important thing is it's safety and security. In a rental situation, if the crap hits the fan, your landlord can easily kick you out.
Yep.
If you're in a home and the crap hits the fan,
Yeah, and that's one thing I tell.
nobody in the government's going to be able to do anything about it.
That's one thing I tell my clients is there. Looks like we're going into a commercial break here, so.
So we'll finish that. Shane, bring that back when we get back in.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
we'll also introduce our guest. Kris just got here, so we're excited to have him. So we'll be back in about 2 minutes.
As long as
I think Twitter off.
Yeah, they're off.
Well, it's usually right at, like, how you doing?
What's going on?
Hey, buddy.
Join us for the Utah Eagle Forum Convention, January 16th, from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m.
What's going on? Sorry I'm late, guys.
Senator
Good.
Governor Gary Herbert, Wendy Hart from the Alpine School
Let's
Board,
have you-
all three of your congressmen, and one of your congresswomen, and the Utah State Representative, LeVar Christensen.
So we'll have you roll up here.
January 14th. At UtahEagleForum.org.
It's a little tight.
$39 for all days and includes lunch by Native Bakery Cafe. Come to find out how you can help
Cool.
preserve our constitutional freedoms. We'll be discussing data collecting, armored
This is what it is.
Yeah, this is the
the
glorious of radio.
I'm pretty impressed, are you?
01-756.
No, it's sweet. Can I just hold that on my lap? Will that work?
Absolutely, yeah. Let's see.
Contact
I'm working on this for you.
UtahEagleForum.org
Just bring it
or
up
call
closer. Does it need to be on something stable?
801-756.
Well, it doesn't have to be, but let's see.
8077.
Maybe you gotta put.
How about this?
801
Let's see how that is over.
There we go.
8077. See you there.
Hi, this is Alan Love with Capital.
All right.
Home values increasing, low rates still available. Now is the perfect time to
Earlier?
Capital.
Closer.
Perfect.
I don't know.
And typically you got to be about
You want to pull cash
2 to
out,
3
you can
inches.
pull.
3 fingers is the
and you can watch like I spike things when I talk
We
loud,
have programs
so you'll see it spike to the red if you want to.
Okay.
But these ones,
Yeah, that's
the ones
good.
we
They're all
watch.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
If
So
you're
that's
within 2, 3 inches, you're perfectly fine. Yeah.
Paying high fees at a credit union. Tall.
So this is it. You guys just chilling here and talking, huh?
Yeah, we're a little off this morning. We're like, oh, crap.
So,
Stop.
let's
Yeah.
talk.
It's funny.
Since about 8 o'clock.
Dead air.
What are all these different shows or?
So, yeah, there's a whole bunch of different shows. This is the feed of all the different commercials, and then it'll come out and then bump into our bumper music, and then we'll talk, and then we go until about 9:40. So it used to be like 19 and then 39. So I guess they moved it to 20 and 40,
Yeah,
and
it's
then
just off today.
yeah, just get their commercial breaks in. But we get about a 16-minute segment every time.
So who controls this? What's
It's
on there?
pre-programmed.
Simeon.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, the station manager, she programs it in there.
I got you.
Somebody does anyway. And then,
So you just come here and talk?
yeah, and then it goes dead air, and then that's when we talk. So it's pretty low tech here, as you can obviously tell. These boards have been around since the 80s.
Or older. I think this is from the 80s. This is from the 70s.
So what do you guys want to start on? What do you guys want to?
Well, I know Scott has his plan, so.
So let's talk. Introduce you. Talk about kind of what you've accomplished. You know, kind of what you're doing. You're a public speaker. That you're a world record holder. Let's talk about kind of that during this segment. The next segment, let's talk about kind of what happened that put you in the situation you're in.
Cool.
Talk about the accident. Talk about how you almost died. Talk about
Yeah, our segment is survival. So
Yeah.
this week we talk about, so trying to relate that to preparing and being prepared and so forth. And unless you go through a situation like that, you just don't know what it's like.
It's very true. You don't.
You just don't really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So what are the lights flashing on your rig here?
They're it's like power assist.
Oh, cool.
So if I give it
It'll go to show.
push a little further. Yeah, it makes it quite a bit easier.
there we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to PrepperCon Radio. As always, I'm your host, Scott Stallings. We've got Shane, who just walked away from his mic as I'm pointing to him. Shane's in the house, Mr. Prepared Guy, the Prepared Guy.
Sorry, I'm back.
And we are super stoked. We've got a really good guest in today. He actually has helped us a little with PrepperCon. I met him because he interned with another company that I'm partnered with, Freedom to Move. So if you need fitness DVDs, that's the place to go. Freedom, the number 2, move.org. Program for anybody. It doesn't matter what your fitness level is or your mobility levels are. It works for everybody. And so that's how I met Kris, and I heard this story, and it's pretty impressive. Kris, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so Kris, motivational speaker, dynamic speaker. Tell us, before we jump too far, this is the coolest part. Tell us about your world record.
So in 2014, I rode my hand cycle from Idaho Falls to Huntington Beach. It was about 1,040 miles, and I did that to break the current quadriplegic distance hand cycle record. And then we also did it to raise money, and I'm a little bit more proud of that. But we raised money for NeuroWorks, which is the neuro rehab facility that I did my rehabilitation at.
Awesome. How much? Do you mind if we ask how much you guys raised?
Yeah, no, we raised about $25,000.
That's
And
awesome.
then, yeah.
And now, is that something people can still donate to?
Yeah. If you Spinal Ride, you can still donate to Spinal Ride, and that account's still open to fund, but the money will in turn go to NeuroWorks.
So it's spinalride.com?
SpinalRide.com. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. So tell us about that experience. I mean, well, first let's clarify something real quick for everyone listening in. What happened, real quickly? I see you rolled in, and he's got a super high tech, super comfy chair. We call it a high tech wheelchair.
So it's kind of like a hoverboard, but it's
Less dangerous.
probably.
No, well, back in 2009, I was in a car accident. I broke my neck, and that resulted in quadriplegia.
Okay. And we'll talk about surviving that accident a little bit later, but what made you think about doing this crazy 1,000-mile ride? Like, that's a long time to be sitting
Yeah,
and pedaling with your hands.
yeah. I don't know exactly if it was one thing specifically, but I think it was a factor of things. When I finished my associate's degree, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, like as a career or whatever, because I mean a lot of options got taken away, so I just wasn't sure. And so I had remembered seeing a plaque of somebody doing a similar ride, and so I just kind of remembered it after I graduated and thought, why don't I do that while I try and figure out what I want to do. And it was awesome to push myself and to learn. I mean, you learn a lot about yourself in a situation like that and see what you can really handle and how, I guess, what level you can push yourself to.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, the reason I did it specifically, I don't know if it was one thing, but probably, a few different factors.
So, what was the biggest lesson you learned about yourself on that journey that you can take away?
Yeah,
and tell
I
us?
think probably that, there's so many different things that I've learned, and those would be topics that I'll end up speaking on. But as far as one specific thing, probably that you can push yourself a lot further than you think you can.
Yeah.
When you're in the situation, you have to do it, or you fail, and you just...
Is that one of the reasons why you decided to do this? Because okay, this just happened to me. Did you have some anger? Were you upset? Like, I'm going to beat this thing. What was your thinking?
No, it was more just because I wanted, I guess, to get back into competition. When I
played
first
basketball before.
baseball.
Baseball.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love to work out and push myself and be physical. And then that's a little bit harder now that I'm in a wheelchair. And so when I found that, I knew that I could ride the bike. I wasn't sure how well, but I knew that I could do that. I wanted to get back into some sort of competition. And so, all I had to do was train and ride a certain distance, which ended up being a little bit harder than that. But
Well, the craziest part of that story for me, you've told me this, and so I've got a little advantage over the listeners. Tell me about the time where it got super cold, your hands were freezing, you almost couldn't keep going. I think you stopped at a Walmart or somewhere.
yeah, so the way that my hands clip into the bike, because I can't grip it just because of my injury. So the way my hands clip into the bike, I couldn't wear any gloves, and so what I did, instead of get gloves, I went to Walmart and bought some oven mitts and just kind of cut a little slit into them, and they fit right over my hands. And so I did that, and then just used like a grocery sack to waterproof them.
That's so awesome. The thing that I love about that, number one, it shows how resourceful you are. But I think it applies to prepping because that's what it's all about, is being resourceful with what you can find. If you got a problem, get creative and overcome it. Who would have thought? Oven mitts? Like, that's awesome.
Well,
Yeah,
I would have pulled over and waited till it warmed up, or and not just kept going on. It's like you're saying, you can do more than you think you can.
Yeah, the cold suck, but you just kind of get in the zone, and I was on a mission, so.
Yeah.
So what town were you in when that happened, or how far into your journey was it?
It pretty much rained all through Idaho, and the first day into Utah.
So basically, right as you start, it sucks.
The first day was great. The sun, I made it like 50, 60 miles, and then the second day it was just hills and rain, and it continued like that until I made it into Utah. Yeah.
Holy cow. That is awesome. I suck when it comes to fitness right now. I just started a new gym, and my wife and I are rededicating ourselves to get back in shape. We put on quite a few pounds since the wedding. For me, a lot more than my wife. She still looks hot. I am just...
Yeah, Scott, you don't look hot anymore.
I don't. She says I do. She's beautiful, but she's crazy. I love her. So, getting in shape is, I think, one of the most important things that's overlooked in the world of preparedness. How did you, getting ready for this huge ride, I mean, that's huge. How did you get ready? Like, what did you have to do? Were you doing cross training, or were you just sitting there cycling?
Well, I mean, and that's another thing about being resourceful is when I first started training, I didn't have a bike. I, wasn't working out at all. I used to work at NerdWorks all the time, but I hadn't been doing that because I was in school. So the first thing I did was just call as many people as I could and speak to as many people as I could, because one of the things I think that people overlook is just asking people. You know what I mean? Because if you want to do anything, whether it's start a business or do a world record, somebody who's done it there before you successfully is going to have a lot of answers and be able to put you forward, and you won't have to make as many mistakes, and it's a huge leap ahead. So the first thing I did was talk to somebody who's done it successfully and just use the resources that were at my disposal. And then so I was able to find a bike to borrow for a while, and I joined a gym, and then by the time I got my bike, I called a coach to figure out what would be the best programs to use. But I think fitness, the hardest thing is, even with anything, with any goal, is you need to do today what you can repeat again tomorrow. So I don't know how many times or how many people this happened to, but you decide you need to get in shape, you go to the gym and you do every lift in there, and then the next day you wake up and you can't move.
Yeah.
And you can't
in the last 3 weeks.
You can't go to the gym, you can't work out as hard. So by doing today what you can do again tomorrow, you may not feel like you're doing as much, but if you continue to make incremental improvements every day, you don't need to make huge steps.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to crawl first, or
Yeah, that's a great point. Yes.
Well, and I love it's tiny steps, it's repeatable steps. And I think we forget that, not just in physical fitness, but everything.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we're trying to change something or set a new goal, I usually fail when I overdo it once.
Yep.
And I overdo it one day, I get derailed. Or if I don't get anything done in a day, it's easy to derail. So, were there times where you felt that pressure, or you felt like, oh my gosh, I'm done, like in the training time?
Yeah, especially in the training. I got injured because my arms, only my biceps work, my triceps don't work. So my tendons don't run necessarily in the right channels they're supposed to, and so I would get injured all the time in my shoulders and my elbows, and so I would have to stop working out for a month at a time or a few weeks at a time. And by the time you get back on the bike, you feel like you're back at square one, and it was just real hard to stay motivated at those points. But, if you just begin with the end in mind, and another thing, I think you have to have a solid reason, a good foundation that helps keep you motivated, because if it was just to say, I hold the world record, I probably wouldn't have continued to do it, so.
So what was it that was your big reason? What's your big why?
I think I just wanted to show myself that I could still, compete and push myself, and I really wanted to help NerdWorks help more people, because the money I donated went to a scholarship fund that helps people who can't afford therapy. Because if it wasn't for NerdWorks, I wouldn't have been able to do the ride in the first place. I wouldn't have ever learned about it or seen my capabilities. Because when you go there, you leave 100% thankful.
Yeah.
Because you see people in worse situations for you, and you also see the progress that you can make because you see people who have been in your shoes. But the Dale Hall is the founder. He's one of the founders, and he broke his neck, and now he walks. He ran a marathon.
Oh.
They have a swimming pool that has a treadmill on the bottom, and so he ran a marathon in 5 hours in the swimming pool. Yeah, and So
That's true. Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So he ran a full marathon on a treadmill in the water.
Yeah.
That just seems like that's even more work, because the resistance of the water. Yeah, it's buoyant, so it helps ensure his body.
Yeah. So
But
the biggest thing that it helps with is balance, right? When you're a quad, your balance muscles are the ones that go, so it's really hard to stay upright, and so with the water it helped him stay up. But he still had to run the miles, so
that's awesome.
Crazy.
Holy cow. Okay, so you had an amazing network of people that helped you.
Support system.
Great support system. You had a reason. And then how did you attack that? Like, did you have like a daily plan of things you wanted, like a checklist, or how did you create your action plan?
So at the point when I was really into it, I had gotten a trainer, and we had spoken about, she'd give me daily workouts about, and it's called interval training.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have a workout that I would do every day, that I would ride hard for a couple minutes, then take it easy, and then ride fast for a couple minutes, and then ride with and it would just be a whole bunch of, I would have different types of training for hills or for this or for that, but it's all something that I learned from my coach. Her name's Stacy Say, and she's out of Chicago, and she trains like Paralympic bike athletes all the time, and she's incredible, and she donated all her time and all her resources. Awesome. So that was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a lot of help for Spinal Ride, and that if I didn't have the support that I had with my family and friends, there's no way I would have been able to do it. So I broke the record, but it was more of a we broke the record.
I love that. That is awesome. I think oftentimes we too quickly in our own lives take credit, especially when it's physical feat. It's easy to be like, well, I did that by myself. Well, I don't know. I look at the kids that I grew up with, and some of them did hockey, and it was like 5 a.m. and their mom would take them every day. They'd
kick them out of
wake
bed.
them up, drag them out, take them, and I didn't play hockey, so I'm like, see ya, I'm going back to sleep, until 6. Then I had early morning seminary. I lived in Colorado, and they didn't have that release time that you guys here in Utah have, which is awesome. And I thought it was hard. And when I finished the year, I was like, wow, I did that. And my mom and dad are like, we woke you up every day and took you. Then I think of all those kids that did early morning swimming or early morning hockey. There's a network of people that are helping you. Your coaches, your family, your other teammates. They're always working together. And I love that applies to everything, whether it's overcoming adversity, whether it's starting a new business. You need a good, solid team.
One thing that we did on Spinal Ride, because there was 5 of us crammed together for a long time, and so one thing we did on Spinal Ride was just implement a protocol, right? Whenever anybody said something, instead of like it was a we. Mm-hmm. So one time my friend, he left a bag of electronics that it was like a phone, a music speaker, a battery, just a bunch of stuff we were using as a ride just to, make it more comfortable, more just.
Okay.
And it got left on the back of the car, and it ended up getting ran over, and it just broke a bunch of stuff. And it was all my stuff.
Oh no.
And so they find
nice.
it, they bring it back, and and I'm just tired and beat up. It's like 3 a.m. by the time we get done that day, and I'm just like, what? How did you leave that on the back of the thing? And he goes, yeah, I don't know how we left it on there. And he just turned it into a we thing, because it was a team effort, and if you turn everything into a team thing, it just, small arguments like that don't happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so if you understand that every single part of it is a we, then if somebody gets mad for you doing something, it's like, well, we, because then it will help in every situation, You'll be on the lucky side of the we one of the times,
Yeah.
You'll make the mistake.
Absolutely.
Well, we're heading into a break. We'll be right back. We've got Kris Sanford, awesome guy, world record holder, all around, just a good guy, stud. So thanks for being with us. We'll be right back. You're listening to K-Talk Radio. All right, you are listening to PrepperCon Radio on K-Talk, AM 630. We just love doing this. It's fun. We want to thank you guys for listening in. We want to thank you for being part of the show. K-Talk's all about two-way communication. We want listener engagement. We want the family of K-Talk to be involved in the community and always do something to help out. Help your neighbors, help your friends, help your family. Make sure you're voting. Make sure you're getting involved. Today we've got an awesome guest. We've got Kris here. Kris, thanks for being on the air today with us. And
Yes.
we were talking about the we solution that you guys put together for your team as you're doing the Spinal Ride, as you're breaking the world record. How did that change the dynamic? I mean, what you were telling us a little bit off air what that did, but how did that change that dynamic and improve it for the whole team?
Well, as soon as you put it into a we context, whatever mistake is made, it's everybody's fault. And so it just makes it easier. I mean, it just made it easier to not get so mad about things, just let things brush off the shoulder. And I mean, the team, like that's, you have to stay in a good, I guess, flow, or, have good chemistry, or otherwise it just makes things a lot harder and stuff like that. So it just helped things continue to flow smoothly.
Yeah. Well, I think, and Shane, you made the content on the break, that's the lone wolf of survival.
Exactly.
Doesn't survive anymore.
Exactly. A lot of us preppers, and I think this is kind of fading away, is that, I'm the lone wolf. I can survive by myself out in the wilderness or whatever, and we know for a fact that's going to be your hardest situation, is surviving by yourself. Whereas Kris points out that, the team is the most important part. It's what's going to make you successful and survive, and not only survive, but also be able to help others. As Kris was saying, he couldn't have done this without his entire team. And that's the way I believe, I've always kind of been in the mindset, I need to get off the Wasatch Front, I need to get out into a smaller community in a more rural area. And the more and more I think about that, I think the more wrong I am, to an extent. But that, we need to come together as communities, as families, as wards and neighborhoods to support each other, especially as things get more and more difficult.
Absolutely. This example, Kris, your example is, to me, it's actually very enlightening, but also inspiring. It's easy for us to go to work and just not care, to not feel like part of the team. We separate ourselves pretty easily. I think that's part of human nature is we'll separate ourselves and say, oh, you know what, they don't care about me, or, oh, I'm different, and so it doesn't matter. But I've noticed, as we talk about this, I've thought back and tried to think on different times in my life where being involved in the team actually gave me more pride in myself.
Absolutely.
But also, I got more engaged with what's going on. Wrestling in high school, I loved wrestling. It's an individual sport, right? For that 6 minutes until you go into overtime. Well, it's still an individual sport. But as a whole, it's a team sport, because you've got a team score at the end of the night. If you didn't wrestle, you don't understand it, most likely. But basically, here's how it breaks down. Depending on how you win, you get points for your team. And the team with the most points at the end of the match wins. So you could win your match, your match is your 6 minutes of glory, or less if you get pinned or you pin somebody else. But if you lose, you don't get any points. The other person gets the points. But they can win by pinning, they can win by a technical fall, or which is they outpoint you so much that it's not worth going on. Or if they just outlast you for the 3 minutes, they win by points. There's another point allowance that they give the team. But you could win your meet, or as a team, they call it a meet. You can win your meet, but you could still lose your match, or vice versa. And I always struggled with team sports because I'm like, well, it's all on the team. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. Like in football, it's just like, okay, I ran my route. I didn't ever get to touch the ball. I never, did I really contribute? Yeah. And then in wrestling, same problem. And these are great activities to learn and to grow and to adopt, because it teaches you how to start working as a team. But when you take on, I had this amazing coach, Coach Strockbine, who I loved and hated. He forced us to become best friends. Like, he forced us to hang out in the halls between classes, to associate with the wrestling team. And then if he saw someone that was really good at something, he would make them work with the person that was the least good at that, or the most ineffective at that move, and help them, right? Well, that created a better bond, and then as we started getting more cohesive as a team, we ended up beating one of the teams that our school had never beaten before. And that was huge for us. And our school was a new school, but it was like 7 years we hadn't beaten this other school. And they weren't even our rival. It was just, we'd go and get our butts handed to us. But as we became more cohesive as a team, as we started working together and taking ownership together, like if one person was falling behind, the whole team would pull together to pull that person up instead of just stop.
Yeah, that's what it should be.
And that was, as much as I hated that coach, I loved him for that.
Yeah. But I guess, Kris, ultimately, you had to do this yourself. I mean, for your world record, you had to learn how to do it yourself. I mean, you're the only ones turning the wheels on that bike, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely was, I guess, like the engine behind the thing, but there were mechanics the whole way, you know.
Mhm.
So it was a team thing, you know. I pedaled the bike, but they helped me get on and off the bike with food. But
Mhm.
you know, I mean, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have done it. It's simple as that, you know.
Yeah. I
And
couldn't have done it.
couldn't have. Yeah, it just wouldn't have been possible. And the weed thing was implemented by one of our friends, Trent Brown, and he has a TP business. Is the Ultimate TP Experience, and they're getting ready to put together a survival package,
Oh, cool.
which is really cool. And they'll take you out, and there'll be different packages where they help you put together like a, you know, start your own fire, filter your own water, and do different stuff like that in his teepees, and it's a super cool experience. But he's the one who actually came up with the Wii in the beginning, you know, maybe because he made the mistake or something. But it was
He broke
good.
the phones. he
It was
destroyed
really
everything.
good, you know, so it was worth it.
That's awesome. It's so important that we get the right mindset to get through challenges, and I think that by him setting that up, you know, it sounds like that was the key to success for the team.
Yeah, as far as the team goes, that probably helped us get there, for sure.
And what was the key for success for you when you just were zapped and you felt like you couldn't go any further? How
Well,
did you overcome
Yeah, exactly.
that?
My question is the survival aspect of it. How did you push yourself beyond what you thought you could do?
So, I think the best way to prepare for a situation like that is to make the decision ahead of time so that you already know what you're going to do when it comes along. So I knew that it was going to be hard. I knew I'd come across hills that I, you know, maybe wasn't going to be able to make it up easy or whatever, but I had told myself before and told everybody around me and beat it into my own head so much that I just wasn't going to quit. So when it did come to the times when it was hard, I had expected it, I had visualized it, I knew it was going to be there, and I had already made the choice before I got there to keep going to make sure I overcame the obstacle.
And like you said, you had told others as well, this is what I'm going to do, and I want you to hold me to it, essentially.
Yeah, and so there is accountability aspect, but I think the biggest thing is just to understand that hard situations are going to come up, right? Whether it be, you know, a situation that we need to be prepped for or a goal that we're doing or whatever it may be, is just to understand that hard times are going to come up and you just need to make the choice ahead of time to overcome that obstacle, right? I made a joke with one of my helpers that, like, if I did injure an arm, I'd finish with one arm, you know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it was a joke, but like at the same time, I was kind of serious because I had told myself I was going to finish no matter what happened.
Yeah.
You know, realistically, I couldn't have done it with one arm, but it's just I had made the choice ahead of time to succeed when the adversity came. You know, and I think that is probably one of the biggest things you can do as somebody who's prepping is just to make the choice ahead of time to know that you can deal with the adversity. Just say, I'm going to deal with it, and there's not going to, you know, nothing's going to stop me.
And of course, you took the time to train and to prepare for it as well. And so,
Well, yeah, and that's another thing, is after you make the decision to do that and understand, you still have to train and prepare and get there. But another thing I think people, or I guess another prepping resource that is resourcefulness, right?
Mhm.
So we may not always have the resource that we need, but if we can be resourcefulness
Right.
in those moments of need or whatever it may be, we can get through them. In addition to having a positive mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think as we move forward from this show, my takeaway is really two things. One, it's the team.
Mm-hmm.
It's giving people the trust, giving them the opportunity to perform, giving them confidence, and taking ownership as a we. But then the other thing I think for me is just understanding that, and everyone needs to hear this over and over again, is that preparedness is what you do now, because as soon as you need that training or as soon as you need that right mindset, if you haven't done anything to prepare for it, you're already losing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
That's right.
and I can't remember the quote. It's like, when the moment of action is upon us, the moment to prepare is over. Something along those lines.
And preparation also gives you confidence, right? Because say if you're taking a math test, right, and you've studied for it and you know 2 + 2 because you've done it over and over again, when you get to the math test, you're going to be able to do it because you're confident. You're going to be comfortable in the situation. So it's the same type of thing. I had gone over hundreds and hundreds of hills so that I'd be confident when I got through a hill, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I think it's the same way with prepping. You know, even if you want to put yourself through a situation or just understanding what you're going to need in those times, is crucial.
Yeah, you can't expect to be able to make a hand drill fire if you've never made one before.
Or if you don't even know what it is.
Exactly.
It all comes down to training, repetition, experiencing. I love the idea with your friend's tent company or teepee company. Go out and learn. Go out and do. Make it an adventure. Make it a fun vacation. Instead of taking your, we talked about taxes earlier, instead of taking your tax refund and go on this crazy vacation, we're going to go on this cruise for 7 days. Well, why not go on a wilderness activity where your whole family learns something valuable and improves skills?
Would you classify your ride as fun? Was that fun?
I had the time of my life, because when you're out there, I really try to take the time to just soak it in and realize what I was doing and just appreciate my friends' company and my family's company, and just understand that I was living like a rock star for a month, doing whatever, just doing exactly what I wanted to do. I wasn't working for anybody else, but anyway, it was a blast. I had a time of my life.
That's awesome.
Well, we're getting kicked out here. We're running out of time. If you want to check in on Kris, see what he's doing, what's the best place for them to find you?
Probably spinalride.com right now. I'm having a website built currently, and that there will be a link to that when it's finished on spinalride.com.
And then you can also check out Freedom to Move. He's an ambassador over there, freedomtomove.org. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.